What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of the GZ Chop Shop podcast. I'm your host, Project Itachi, joined by my good friend and co-host, War Nurse. And this week, we're going to tick off some fans. I'm just going to let you guys know that up front. We're probably going to tick off Microsoft, Sony, maybe PC. I don't know. They're kind of in their own little realm. But we're going to be pissing off some fans, so just be fair warned. But before we get into the episode, I just want to let you guys know that our store, previously OSN Media Shop, is now under the domain of gzmediashop.com. So if you guys have been looking for our store, just visit our website, gzchopshoppodcast.com. Click the store link. It'll take you to the new domain, gzmediashop.com. It was pointed out to me that in the Apple transcript, I had misspoke in a previous episode, so the link was completely wrong. But I said, you know what? It was time to update the store domain anyway. So it is now gzmediashop.com. Go and check it out. Also, if you're joining us in the studio during our recording, welcome. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit that follow button, like, and subscribe, turn on notifications so you know every time the GZ Chop Shop podcast uploads a new episode. Now, with that out of the way, and without further ado, let us dive right in to one of our favorite developers, always in the news. It seems like they just can't stand not being in the news. And I am talking about Microsoft. They were doing okay, staying under the radar for a while. And I don't know, maybe that was bugging them. That they were like, you know what? No one's talking about us. Let's just do something really effed up to get back in the news again so people start talking about us, get us trending. And guess what? It worked. Because I don't know if you know this, because it as the time of the recording, this is recent. By the time you guys are hearing, it's been a couple of days. Microsoft closes Redfall developer Arcane, Hi-Fi Rush developer Tango Gameworks, and more in devastating cuts as Bethesda via IGN. Now, for you guys who have been listening to the podcast for a while, and Warners, you know, we've had this conversation. I called it. I said the moment Microsoft acquired Bethesda, anything they touch, they turn to ash as soon as they get upset. And I said Bethesda, it was a terrible idea for Bethesda to sell exclusively to Microsoft. They should have stayed independent because they were going to start getting dissolved. I called it. I said it long ago. This is not going to end well for them. And they were already starting to get upset after the deal. A lot of people working for Bethesda that left Bethesda, they were saying they didn't like how it was turning out. They didn't like how they were being treated, how things are progressing under Microsoft. And I said, well, anyone who knows Microsoft's trend when they acquire things would have seen this coming. It does not end well. And they have been shutting down studios left and right. I mean, as you know, Yuli had pointed out, someone even commented that they've been shutting down more studios than they've been putting out games.
That's wild.
like they're acquiring all of these companies, they're flaunting their money, and they're dissolving it. And this is what I think, and this is my opinion. I want to leave with this is my opinion. There's no fact to back this, but I'm also going to toot my own horn and say a lot of my opinions and predictions have been coming true. I said when Phil Spencer made his remark about 2027, and it was interpreted, it was intentionally ambiguous, that it could be taken that by 2027, Xbox Game Pass and the Xbox ecosystem will be profound. It'll be where it needs to be. Or if they're not that state by 2027, it could be taken as he was saying, Xbox is pulling out. We're done with gaming. I think it's the latter. I think he was given a warning that by 2027, if Microsoft isn't happy with where Xbox is, they're pulling out.
Well, we've talked about it in great lengths over the past couple years, how much money Xbox doesn't talk about. They don't talk about publicly how much money that Xbox loses with Game Pass.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of guys, I don't remember which episode it was. It was pretty recent, maybe 2 or 3 months ago, but we crunched the numbers because they put information out there, but they don't put it out there directly enough for you to be able to go, okay, they're making this much, they're losing this much. They're not very open about it. So you have to put all the numbers together. And we broke the math down, and it was hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars that all of these studios are losing together because of Game Pass, because no one's buying the games. So the companies are just getting a small portion of the price of that game because they're now acquired and owned by Microsoft.
Yeah, and they have to play ball with whatever Microsoft's willing to pay them. That's what they have to accept.
And we've been saying for a long time now that this was going to come back down the road and bite all these studios in the ass and be a nail in the coffin for Xbox. And every single year, and this past year more than ever, we're starting to see it. We're starting to see these studios, if not get dissolved, get broken down significantly.
So the studios that did survive are ZeniMax, obviously, because they have the Elder Scrolls Online. Elder Scrolls Online is going to survive because it's a moneymaker. It's a moneymaker, so I'm not surprised that the ZeniMax part of Bethesda survived. But what really ticked me off, and I said this as well, I said, when Hi-Fi Rush came to the PlayStation, I don't know if I said on episode, but I'm pretty sure I talked to you guys about it. I said when Hi-Fi Rush was offered to, I believe, Nintendo, but it was definitely offered to PlayStation, and everyone was praising, like, look, Microsoft is actually trying to do away with exclusive games. They're making their games available to everyone. This is what we all should be doing. Microsoft's the greatest. I was like, no, this just says they didn't make the money from their own community that they wanted to make. So then they made it look like they were offering a peace branch, saying, look, we're offering it to the PlayStation community. Look, we're offering it to the Nintendo community. We're great. We're friendly. They were basically using those companies, those other ecosystems, those gamers, to make up the revenue that they could not make from their own community, because everyone in the Xbox ecosystem, rightfully so, it's what they paid for, uses Game Pass. So they were losing money. So they said, well, if we're going to lose money with our own people, let's make it off of the other ecosystem. So they offered the product to us full price because we have to pay for it to play it on another system. If I want to play on Nintendo, I got to pay for it. If I want to play on PlayStation, I got to pay for it. If I want to play on PC, I got to, PC is a little iffy because, Game Pass with there, but you got to pay for it, the full price. So they made the money off of the other ecosystem that they could not make off of their own community. And I find it funny that within the same year that they offer us Hi-Fi Rush, they shut down that studio. You cannot tell me they did not already know they were going to shut down that studio. These are things that they planned months in advance. So you give us a game that was phenomenal. You give us a game that was a Game of the Year nomination that was obviously loved and praised, a sleeper hit from Xbox. You make it available to everyone, giving everyone false hope. You then make money off of communities that are not yours, and then you shut down said studio that actually gave you a winning game because now you want to say it underperformed. So now you're admitting
when it definitely did not overperform.
Yeah, when it definitely didn't.
Games that underperform don't go on to be even at bare minimum contenders for Game of the Year or any of the categories for the awards. And the game did do real well. It's very popular and it's a fun game.
Yeah. Now, Arcane Lion is a studio which is working on Marvel's Blade, so they survived. Bethesda Game Studios, which obviously does Fallout, Starfield, they survived. And Machine Games, because they're currently working on Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, and id Software, who does Doom, they survived. But I think they're looking at something. I think we've already hit over 2,000 layoffs because of this. And it seems like Microsoft is not done. And they're saying that it's the reprioritization of titles and resources means a few teams, that's cute. A few teams will be realigned to others, and that some of our colleagues will be leaving us. Some.
AKA, some of the studios are fighting back a little bit and arguing. They're not doing what we're telling them to do, and instead they're doing their own work, their own creative work that we told them not to do. And now we're going to put out bullshit information. And since we own all these studios now, we're going to reorganize them so that they can do what we want them to begin with, and put out the games we want them to, and to create the systems and the gameplay that we want them to.
Except the thing is, they're not putting out any games. That's the thing.
All they're doing is taking away creative freedom, like the gaming industry has been doing as a whole. When it comes to shareholders and Microsoft above all owning all these studios now, they're starting to more and more so take away creative rights. And it's not like they're just saying that. They're not coming out in public and like, oh, we're taking away creative rights. It's through their actions. It's the things that they're doing.
So once again, just for everyone who's wondering, like, all the studios is closing. Arcane Austin is closing. Alpha Dog Studios is closing. Tango Gameworks is closing. Roundhouse Games will be joining ZeniMax Online. So they're being absorbed. And all of this is to, apparently paint this picture that they've got this bigger plan that they're working towards to create this ecosystem. But all we know is Microsoft's main focus is Game Pass, subscription-based gaming, removing the ownership of gaming, and making it a infinite cash flow for them. And if that does not work by 2027, I am saying it again, I cannot stress this enough. You can look at the dates of previous episodes when we talked about this. I am telling you guys now, 2027 is probably going to be either the okay year for gaming or the worst year for gaming. Because if Microsoft decides to back out, they're taking a huge chunk of gaming with them. And this is what I think is going to happen. They're closing a lot of studios. That means they're going to have more revenue that they can keep. And they're going to make another big purchase. I'm saying it now. They're going to make another major purchase before 2027 in the gaming market. They're gearing up the money for it now. They're going to lock down another studio. And then when 2027 hits, if everyone isn't on board with the Game Pass lifestyle, they're going to melt all of those companies they've absorbed. That's why they're going for major, well-loved ones. Bethesda, Activision, King, they've absorbed them. They're not going to just put them back on the market because no one would be able to afford their asking price. Microsoft would jump that asking price because now everyone's going to be like, please don't just break those systems. Just don't dissolve those developers. Like, give them to us. And they're going to be like, okay, pay us like $1 billion for it. We paid what for Bethesda? 3.3 billion, something like that. I don't remember the exact number, but I do remember it's like $1 billion something.
Typical monopoly move.
Yeah. So then they're going to be like, okay, how bad do you want it? Pay us double what we paid? Because
Monopoly the game, not Monopoly. Yeah. They don't have a monopoly.
They don't have a monopoly. They want a monopoly, but they don't have it yet. So
it's a far cry from a legal monopoly.
Yeah. And 2027, we're going to start seeing it. Will it all collapse in 2027? No. This stuff takes time. It takes years. They're going to start slowly. This is the beginning of it. This is the warning shot. You guys aren't doing Game Pass, and we're getting petty. We're getting upset. So guess what? We're laying people off. We're closing some of your studios. Get with the program. And as we get closer, once 2027 and on goes on, and like I said, if Microsoft has to bow out of the gaming industry, they're taking a huge chunk of it with them. They're taking a huge, and I just ask the fans to take off your ruby tint glasses for like 60 seconds, get off your high horse, and realize what is happening here. Microsoft is, as I've been saying, not a gamer's friend. They created a problem, and then they're selling us the solution to the problem they created in the subscription-based model. That's how business works. You create a problem, and then you sell the solution to the problem you created. What is the problem, you say? We're going to keep dissolving studios. We're going to say that this is why we need to focus on games. You're going to give us the hype. Creating the problem. We want games for Xbox. Cool. For us to create those games, we got to collapse these studios. When in reality, we really just want you to sign up for Game Pass, and no one's doing that. So we're going to strong arm you into it. What these games? Now you got to give Game Pass. How are we going to make these studios survive? Join Game Pass. And then you go, yeah, I love Microsoft. I'm going to support Game Pass. Boom. Cool. They create the problem, and now they're selling you the solution. And then and if it works, 2027, Microsoft will still be around, and they'll finally show us the numbers. That's when they'll show us numbers. That's when they will. But before then, now if they make those numbers before 2027, sure, they'll stop. They'll just keep buying things up, and then it'll be like, oh, business as usual, everything's great, everything's fine and dandy. You might see games roll out. But they're already abandoning games. They abandoned Redfall. There was another game that I believe they abandoned, and it was promised for DLC. There was promised updates, and they were like, nah, we're not supporting it anymore, but we'll have like a compensation thing for you guys, for people who paid for it, who actually bought the game, which is another way to convince people to go to the subscription model, because then those people are saying, well, what's the point in buying a game if you're just going to abandon it? Subscription's cheaper. Then if you abandon it, it doesn't really hurt me much because I'm paying for thousands of games in one subscription. It's a long-term plan, and it's happening now. Like Microsoft had no issue just abandoning games and going like, oh well, it is what it is.
I'd like to know how many PC gamers that actually use Game Pass on their computer, because I have the option to use Game Pass on the computer, but I don't find it relative to me at all when I have Steam right there. Sure, it's not quite the same concept. I can't just pay a subscription fee and get a bunch of free games, but the option of games, the type of games, how many games, they do have free games. You don't even need a subscription for that. They may not be like popular free games, but in the PC world, in the PC gaming world, there's a lot of very, very awesome free games to play. So I'm curious how many like PC gamers actually use Game Pass.
Well, maybe we'll find out in the future. Or guys, if you are a PC player who uses Game Pass, let us know. Hit us up on our website, jeezychopshoppodcast.com. Leave us a voice note for this episode. We would like to know, what's your view on it? What's your take on it? Do you think, Microsoft's making a terrible mistake? Do you think Microsoft can do no wrong? We would love to hear your take on it. Now, because I'm sure we pissed off every Xbox fan out there, and they're like, oh, you guys are Sony fanboys. Now the time to turn the tide and piss off the Sony fans, which I am a Sony fan. And even I was like, damn it, Sony. And it was Sony's decision with Arrowhead Studios to require the PC community that played Helldivers 2 to create and have a PlayStation Network account to even log in and play the game. Which it didn't seem like a big deal to me at first because I play on PlayStation. But then I had to think about it, and I said, well, not every place on the world does PlayStation Network service. Like, believe it or not, there's places where PlayStation Network does not exist, but Steam does. And the PC community, that's global. You got a computer, you got internet, boom, you're good to go. So it was a very bad move on Sony's part to try to enforce basically a double login on the Helldivers 2 community. And the Helldivers 2 community on the PC end let them know it by review bombing the hell out of the game. It went from mostly positive to mostly negative just because of that. And I get where the PC community is coming from, because, when you get on your computer to play your PC game, your PC, your Steam login, that should be it. That should be it. There's no need for like 30 different logins to access this one game. And I get it. It's a Sony second party game, and playing devil's advocate mildly, I think I see what Sony was going for, because they wanted to be able to say people were playing within the PlayStation ecosystem by having the PlayStation players log in and the PC players log in. And I think it was also to strong arm people into trying the new overlay that they're implementing in PC, because Sony is trying to bleed into the PC realm. I do not blame them for trying to. They're trying to make their headset accessible as a VR for PC games, which I think is a phenomenal idea. They should have already done that years ago. But I think it's great because it's a very good headset and it would be really good for VR. So they're trying to merger in with the PC realm. But Sony's biggest issue, and it has been for a long time, is just like Nintendo, they are very stingy. They don't like to share. It's like our way or no way. You play our game, you log in with our account. And I think they felt like they were missing out on numbers.
And they got greedy.
And they got greedy with it. Now, it's not like they were charging anything extra, but I think they got greedy for the numbers. And who knows? They might have wanted to differentiate they want to create a separation in the PC crowd, which the PC community was just not having. But I think it stems from their competition with Microsoft, because 90% of people that have a home PC, it was created by Microsoft. So who knows? As far as they're concerned, you're playing Helldivers 2 on a Microsoft computer. I don't know. Maybe
that's
Sony
the tricky
thought
part
something about it.
That's the tricky part with PC. And I mean, I'm not an expert in this area. This is kind of through my experience and some speculation here, like educated guess. But on the PC gaming side, a computer, the program is Microsoft, but everything else on the computer is not owned by Microsoft. So that's where a lot of like Steam and applications and stuff are able to come through and utilize the program, but they don't have to pay anything. It's not the same as like a console. There's a lot more variations there.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's also because what is happening is PlayStation, old habits die hard. They're very used to their exclusives. They're one of the leading, right behind Nintendo, in terms of exclusive accessories, games, all that. They pretty much like to keep their community in their ecosystem, which is nothing new. They operate the same way social media operates. It's like Instagram. Instagram doesn't like links that send people away from Instagram. They want stuff that keeps people on that app. That's why they don't like third-party posting and blah, blah, blah. That's Sony. Sony doesn't like anything that takes you away from their ecosystem.
Here's the thing, though. Like, on one hand, what the fuck? Like, what was Sony thinking doing this? Like, how many times have you heard me lose my shit when I want to play a game? Usually it's on PC, as a matter of fact. And I want to play a game and it's like, log into Origin, log into fucking EA, and I'm like, and it pisses me off. I'm like, why am I logging into all this different shit? But I'm like, whatever. What am I going to do about it? I just do what I need to do and make another login. And there's so many games do this. So Sony was completely wrong for this. And I was like, what the hell, Sony? Like, what are you doing? But let me tell you, you fucking, the whole gaming community, damn it, dude. Y'all were so quiet up till now. Every other freaking game out there that does this shit, y'all were quiet. All these microtransactions that have gotten worse, all these bullshit regurgitated DLCs over the years. Destiny was the worst about it. The same DLC as 5 DLCs ago, but it looks a little different, but it's the same thing. Where's the story even going, bro? The point is, y'all been quiet. Every now and then y'all get a little, but y'all were never this bad. Y'all, and I love it and I hate it. I love it because I love seeing the gaming community go absolutely not and bully an entire studio into doing what you'd like them to do and doing the right thing and not doing bullshit. Where is this uproar over all the other shit in the gaming industry? And where was this uproar for all the other games that do this?
I'm gonna say this is my opinion, but before I get to what my opinion on that was,
to be very clear,
yeah,
all y'all getting on my nerves.
I said I said I was talking to Byrne about it, and he asked me, he was like, "Do you think Sony's going to roll it back?" And I said, "Absolutely." I said, "Sony has no choice. They're going to roll it back. The pushback has been too severe. They can't ignore it." Not even like 3 hours after I said that, Sony comes out and it's like, "Hey, we heard you. We rolled it back." I was like, "Yeah, you got hit in the pocket. People were doing refunds," and I'm with you because I'm like, okay, everyone's returning the game, everyone's refunding it. Everyone's panning it. The PC community wasn't having.
People are saying they're returning it, but if it's on Steam, if you have more than 2 hours, you're not getting. You're not getting.
So
don't even sit there. I refunded my game. No, you didn't.
No, you didn't.
You uninstalled it.
Yeah, or or people are so petty that they would buy it just to return it, just to add to the fire. Because some people are petty. And the thing that got me, I'm like, cool, the community's doing this, and I'm like, wait, and I'm like, wait, when the games with I said the last time we had a huge uproar like this was when EA dropped Battlefront 2 and they microtransaction the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was mostly the Star Wars community that was like, no, you need to fix this. And EA hung in there. They barely fixed it. It took them years. They dragged it out.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, how long ago was that? That was last gen. How many games since? This is stuff we need to be getting into Call of Duty about. We need to be getting into Destiny about. We need to be getting into Fortnite about. We're like, but was it really, hey, let's have our voices heard? Or was it people were just kind of feeling too lazy to have to log in twice that made them mad? Like,
right.
Like, what really was the motive behind it?
Right. Since when has the gaming community given a shit that someone else on the other side of the world couldn't log in and play a game? I give the answer. It's no more shits given than all the games that you had to log into before using a third-party server or third-party login.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, why now? Why all of a sudden are y'all throwing a fit? It's a rightful fit to throw. I agree with being pissed about it. But where were y'all for all the other bullshit? And don't hide behind the guy who can't play on the other side of the world, because y'all didn't mention that shit before. Y'all didn't care before.
There's a game recent. I mean, Modern Warfare, I want to say 2 did it.
Fair.
When I first was playing on the PlayStation, I had to create an Activision account.
Yeah.
I had to create an Activision account. I had to use an Activision account. I'm on my PlayStation, but still had to have an Activision account. Nobody cared. Everyone was just like, well, that is what it is. I was like, okay, so for this game, Activision Blizzard, because it's Activision Blizzard, we give it a pass.
Final Fantasy. You gotta You gotta log into their shit.
Yeah, you gotta log into Square Enix to play Final Fantasy online.
Doesn't matter what you're on, PC, Nintendo, doesn't matter what you're on. Like you're logging in. There's so many games like this. Matter of fact, I think Final Fantasy was the last one I was like, why am I logging in to fucking Square Enix? I just want to play their game.
Yeah, I remember you were like,
I purchased it. I brought it off Steam, and then it was like, you still can't play it. You got to log in.
You got to log in.
Like, make a whole account. And every now and then there's a game like that, and it's very common.
I think
y'all want to complain this one time.
I think honestly, this was while I still say Sony was in the wrong for doing it.
Yeah,
it's not that they were doing anything that other studios hadn't already
done.
I think what the catalyst was that got everyone behind it was one of the developers themselves, Spitz, I think his name was vocal about their displeasure of Sony doing this, and everyone jumped in with that because they're like, well, if the developers are upset, then we're upset too.
Which I like that. Guys, we need to be supporting our developers now more than ever, because so many of them are owned by studios. Less Sony. Sony works through third parties more than ownership. But the fact remains, I want to see more outcry over bullshit. What I don't want to see is one outcry after bullshit by all the companies, but now you want to throw a fit.
Yep. Yeah.
Because we have a lot of power. Y'all, hey, everyone.
We could shut down microtransactions.
Everyone bullied that fucking Sonic movie studio. I don't know what the studio was.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that? And they're like, that's not Sonic. y'all better fix this. So I know the gaming community, I'll call it the nerd community. Okay. Those of us who we love comics or anime or gaming, all that stuff, D&D, y'all, when that community gets upset and they're like, absolutely not, you know, the answer is going to be absolutely not, but we don't do it enough.
Yeah.
We cherry pick when we do it. And then we point fingers at one studio or one company. We'll go, oh, well, Microsoft only or Sony only. No, it's all of them. I want to hear more outcry. Don't cherry pick your outcries.
Yep. I'm just saying, because this is your money, guys. This is your money. Even if you are sitting on PlayStation Plus thinking, no, it doesn't affect me, I only pay $20 a month, or you're sitting on Game Pass, I only pay $10 a month. That's still your money. You know, you got a voice, you got a right. I mean, they're using theirs on you with the terms and conditions that none of us read. I'm just saying, get heard, get some of these things reversed. Get over these microtransactions and ridiculous DLC and incomplete games at full price. It's just madness. But that could be a whole podcast episode in and of itself. Anyway, I'm sure this episode ticked off a lot of people. So if you stuck with us to the end, thank you so much. We would love to hear from you guys. Hit us up on our website, jeezychopshoppodcast.com. Leave your comments there. I'm sure, if appropriate, we will read some of them.
Nerds.
Yeah.
Nerds. All of you.
All of the nerds. Hit us up. And check out our store, jeezymediashop.com. Get your exclusive Jeezy Chop Shop podcast merch and more, all right there. And if you want to support the show, visit our Patreon, patreon.com/OSN Media for exclusive content and access to our other podcast, Afterthoughts After Dark, which is a Patreon exclusive, only available over there. So go check it out. And once again, if you're catching this on YouTube, thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. You guys have been amazing. Take care of yourself and each other, and we'll catch all of you wonderful people on the next podcast. Later.